Hello everyone, taking Thesis Seminar. Each week I'll be doing a roundup, basically a summary of some of the key topics that we've discussed. This first week in Thesis Seminar we looked primarily at narrowing down our topic, so we looked at the handout, which included 4 steps. The first step included a prompt, or one-sentence prompt that took us from a topic to questions to the significance of our study. So you were asked to complete a prompt that began, I wish to understand, and then you filled out the topic. Because I want to know how or why or what, etc. That was the question portion. Remember that second portion really is where the research questions will emerge. And then the final part of the prompt included the significance. In order to, and then you state really the significance or relevance of your study. Very important to go through that prompt and really reflect on your research and articulate specifically the problem and that you're researching. The second step included looking at things that you're going to examine. In the handout we mentioned primarily behaviors, perspectives, opinions, but you'll want to be a little bit more specific in that you state exactly what types of behaviors, for example, that you want to research. You might look at teacher talk time, or look at exactly what the teacher is writing on the board, for example. You might also look at how the students respond in class in a whole group setting, or you might even look at small groups where you're recording pair work or groups of 3, for example. You might even look at document analysis, so you might look at specific homework that the students are doing. You might even look at doing an analysis of a syllabus or even a curriculum. So you basically want to look at the different data sources, remembering we need to include at least 3 data sources for our research so that we triangulate the information and bring those different data sources into our research. The third step of our handout was basically focusing on the unit of analysis. So you're reflecting on what unit of analysis will be. For example, you might look at an individual teacher. You might even look at a school level if you're looking at different schools. More specifically, you might look at data sources from text or chunks of text, or even a paragraph, for example, if you're looking at written discourse. Spoken discourse, you might look at an exchange where you have an initiation, response, and follow-up. So it depends on, again, the research questions, but you want to identify very clearly what the unit of analysis is. The final step is to basically look at the research design and look at whether or not you're going to have a qualitative research study, quantitative, or some mixed methods. So this week we've focused on going through those 4 steps, and we'll be talking more specifically next week as we look at the information that you included in that handout and look at more specifically the research questions in terms of the literature review that you're now going to be working on over the next 4 weeks. Remember that the literature review should only include information that's very pertinent or related to your research. So you don't want to include information that's not related, that's not relevant to your research. So if you have already developed your literature review, take another look at it, evaluate it, see what is still relevant depending on now the particular context of your study, thinking in terms of the participants, the institution, again, the research questions that really relate to your research. Remember that the literature review sets out to really answer the research questions in terms of what other people think about the topic. And then later you're going to be asked to do your own research where you'll be given an opportunity to answer the research questions directly. So again, just make sure that the literature review is very much aligned to your research. Now the tutoring sessions that we plan to schedule for this week, remember you'll be scheduling half-hour sessions with your tutor once a week, and for me personally, I always recommend that my students record our sessions either with a cell phone or if not, I can certainly record them as well. But it's very important that you have a recording each week of our discussions just in case you need it. It's better to have the recording and not need it than not have it and need it. So Don't worry if you don't need it every week, that's fine, but it's better to have it, I think, just in case you need later on that week refer back to it, or even in subsequent weeks, having that information that you can rely on, I think is important. Obviously, I recommend that you take notes as well, but I think having the recording is very useful. And again, if you want, I can certainly record this and upload it privately, to make it available to you if it's easier that way. And I'll talk to you more specifically about that and give you an option, and you can decide on how you want to handle those recordings. So that's basically it for this week. Next week we'll begin our literature review. We're going to have 4 weeks to work on our literature review, or modify it, or develop it from scratch, if whatever the case may be. My main suggestion to you at this point is to, if you at any point feel frustrated or you're not sure what to do, the important thing is to reach out and ask for help, and not to spend days lost and confused. Try to reach out, either sending me an email, come by my office. Even if it's not during a time that we're scheduled, feel free to come by at any time, and make sure that you're making progress each week. Schedule your time accordingly. Make sure that you arrange all of your work commitments, any type of outside commitments that you have this semester, that you really organize your time accordingly, so that you make sure that you spend enough time with this research project. There's enough time to complete this, but if you get behind, it becomes very difficult very quickly. So the main thing is to schedule your time accordingly, and reach out if you do need further assistance. I look forward to seeing your research, and I look forward to getting started.